Hello YouTube, welcome to another video. Just out for another lovely ride. Got my friend in tow on his CBR 600RR. Freshly back out on the road again. So thought we'd go for a bit of a run through the hills and see where the day takes us. Traffic, would you just f*** off? Seriously? Okay guys, so scratch the run up Mountain Highway. That didn't really pan out how we thought it would. Anyway, I thought we would have a video discussion. Well, not a discussion, you're just going to sit in your computer chair eating biscuits, listening to me, but I wanted to talk about, is riding dangerous? Yes, riding is dangerous. See you later. No, I think we'll talk about it a bit more than that. So, yes, I've had a couple of people ask me, not on YouTube, just through friends and whatnot, who were thinking of getting their bike licenses and were wondering how dangerous riding is. Well, yes, it is dangerous, but at the same time, you sort of make your own risks when you're riding a bike, depending on how you ride, where you ride, what time you ride. Those sort of things. Is it as dangerous as sticking your dick in a blender? No, not that dangerous. Well, it won't hurt as much anyway, you'd hope. But, it all depends on how you ride, how much you practice your skills. I have personally, touch wood, need to find a tree to touch somewhere. I'm not pulling over. I personally have not come off, but I have almost dropped the bike once doing a U-turn. Yes, a U-turn. But other than that, it's been pretty smooth. I've had some close calls though. A couple of examples, I was following a truck too closely once in the middle of the night on a bike ride out to King Lake, and a freaking huge wombat came out from underneath the truck, and because, you know, the truck's tracks were wide enough, they got over it. I was sort of a bit further in, and I almost went into that wombat doing 100k an hour, and I can tell you now that would have hurt, because it was a big wombat. If anyone doesn't know what a wombat is, if you're not from Australia, it's basically a rock sitting on the road, just waiting for you. But yes, I somehow managed to, it was just an instinct reaction, I swerved. Luckily I was reasonably loose on the bike and I clipped the very edge of it, but I got away with that one. What else have I had? I have, when I first started out, probably a month in, I was going around a corner a little bit too quickly, and I had target fixation on a tree, and I almost ran off the road, but at the last minute I was able to pull the bike around the corner. Now, for anyone who doesn't know target fixation, I'll explain that to you in a minute, because it is one of the biggest freaking killers that will get you on a bike. I'll give you one other story. I was doing mountain highway, as you've seen in some of my videos. I was fully leaned over in a corner, very sort of a long sweeping corner, and I hit a pebble with the front tyre, which basically lifted the whole front of the bike off the road briefly, and that threw me way offline. And somehow I managed to pull the bike straight and recover it and get it back over again, and I was on my way. Now, I don't know how I did that. It was just so fast I didn't even get a chance to think about it. It just doesn't sound like much, but when you're fully leaned over, it scares the living shit out of you. Yes, anyway, as I was saying, sorry, I just had to pull over and see if we were getting something to eat. Target fixation. Yes, if you look that up on YouTube, you'll find it, not YouTube, hell. Google. Go Google. Look it up on Google, you'll find out about it. It occurs in everything, basically. I've had it doing downhill. I've had it on the motorbike. You get it in the car as well. There's just a lot of things that can happen, and as I was saying, basically it's when you you might be in a bit of a scary moment and you're trying to get around a corner a bit too quickly than what you should, and you see a tree or something, some sort of obstacle, and you look at it, and you will sort of just flow towards it. You won't do it on, it just sort of happens. You'll hit it, basically. You'll go straight into the damn thing. And it sounds crazy. You're like, oh, that doesn't happen to me, but it does. It can happen to anyone. It even happens to MotoGP guys. They'll see a guy lying on the road, they came off his bike, and they will just head straight towards him. There's been a few videos of that, because they want to avoid him, but they're looking at him. So the key thing there, which you actually learn in those Saturday meets, is don't look at anything you do not want to go towards. So if you're going through a corner too quickly, as one of the guys at the Net Rider meet would say, turn your head and look away. Look through the corner and forget about it. If you're going to hit a tree, you're going to hit it whether you're looking at it or not. So, yeah, just don't look at anything you don't want to hit, especially when you're doing things. Now, another killer on bikes is distractions. I've had it a couple of times where you might look over your shoulder or something, look at something else, and you look back and suddenly, something's just stopped in front of you, and it doesn't sound like much, but a lot can happen in a split second, so you have to keep your eyes out for that one. What else have I found that, through... I would say that from speaking to the other guys, always be mindful of the wet, especially painted lines and tram tracks, but you've already learnt that in the course anyway. I haven't had the issue, but there's been a couple of guys that have come off on corners that I know. Well, actually one guy came off twice doing the same thing, but he hit a painted line in the wet and basically the back end just let go. The bike lost rear traction, and obviously he lifted off the throttle, and then the bike gripped in and high-sided. Now that's probably something, if it happened to me, I would probably do the same thing, because I'm used to cars and backing off the throttle, so it's I hope I never have to go through that situation. Saying that, like the close calls I described to you, that's all I've had so far, and they have been close calls, but at the same time I got out of it. And you do not forget about things like that. And as I was saying with target fixation, I've got this little man in my head that yells at me if I'm looking at something I shouldn't be looking at. It sort of goes off at the same time. It's really weird. It's like having bipolar. So yeah, so you got two people fighting, but luckily the person who tells me not to look at a tree or something on the side of the road wins out. So don't listen to your family about it. They will tell you a story about Joe Blow that came off his bike and blah blah blah. You'll get all this. Don't listen to any of it. Yes, it's off-putting, but you're not them. You don't know what they did. You don't know their situation. It does not mean it will happen to you. Could you die on a bike doing this? Yes, you could. You could also end up paralysed or something, which, to be honest with you, I would rather die than go down that road. So, Grim Reaper, if you're listening, don't do it by halves. Finish me completely. At the same time, this is more of a personal opinion. Living life, not doing the things you want to do because they're risky, it's stupid. You're not living your life if you don't enjoy it and make the most of it. I would rather die at 65 doing everything I want to do in life than die at 100 with someone wiping my ass for me and feeding me.